Welcome to our live training session number 19, part 2. In this video, we're going to get our engine fired up and tune our low cam fuel and ignition timing tables. We're going to have a lot to learn, so let's jump into our live training session so we can get started. Welcome back to our live training session here with our Acura Integra. Now in the last video, we went in and we created our base calibration file. We set everything up for the details of this vehicle. So we scaled the injectors, we scaled out the map sensor, we set up our throttle position sensor, and we went in and we also programmed other things such as our fuel tables here. We linearized those. We went through that process for our low and high cam, as well as our spark timing tables. We have really conservative values here to begin our tuning process. So now we're ready to go in and do a quick sensor check before we fire up the engine and start this process, start tuning. First thing we're going to do here is jump up into our lightning bolt, click start, stop data logging. This is going to allow us to get live. Right now you can see the sensor data here is all going to be generic. We haven't actually connected to the ECU yet. So we'll go up here and click the lightning bolt. We're going to find, as soon as I do that, our sensor data here is going to be populated. So here on our sidebar on our sensors list, as well as our display here, we're going to find everything's going to be front and center. We're going to be able to take a look at everything and evaluate what's going on. Now the first thing we're going to see here is that our map sensor is showing us approximately 0 PSI. So our engine is off, our key is on, and we're going to find that this is going to be about where we need to be. Now we're about 600 to 700 feet of elevation at my shop location. That's going to be showing me that I should be a little bit negative in my reading here. So I'm approximately a negative 0.4 inches of vacuum, and that's going to be because I have a little bit higher elevation here at my shop location. Now, if you're in something like Colorado, you might find that if your elevation is something like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 feet, you might see that your map pressure here on key on engine off is going to be something like -2, -3 inches of vacuum. And you'll find that it's going to be changing according to your elevation that you're operating your engine at. Now, some other things to keep in mind with this. If you don't see that it's reading properly here, if you're approximately sea level like I am, I'm approximately sea level right now for my elevation, and we're finding here that it's reading -5 inches, or it's reading 2 or 3 or 4 pounds or higher in manifold pressure, that's obviously incorrect. The map sensor needs to be calibrated. It's our very, very first thing, and chances are you either have a bad map sensor or your sensor calibration is not correct. If we jump in here to parameters, go in here to our map sensor, and take a look here, I have it set on this Omni 4-bar scale. This particular car has a 4-bar installed on it, even though it's naturally aspirated. So we need to make sure that the calibration scale is right, and we have to go ahead and check that always. So key on engine off, which is the approximately 0, depending on elevation. Next, we find our ECT and IET, and we're going to see here that it's showing me 110 degrees. Our intake air temp showing me 97 degrees. Now, this engine ran about 2-3 hours ago when I pulled it in here to begin the filming process, so it has some residual heat in the cooling system. Now, the ambient temperature here in my garage, my dyno is showing me here about 81, 82 degrees. So we are higher than ambient temperature. That's not a big deal, but if we're going to be starting off on a bone cold engine, you should see that your ECT and your IET are going to be approximately reading to what your ambient temperature is. So if your ambient temperature outside is 80 degrees, your vehicle should be reading here about 80 degrees if it's sitting outside. And we'll find that's going to be a slight discrepancy. You might find it be a little bit cooler, a little bit warmer, maybe by 3-4 degrees at the most, but you shouldn't see it show here your engine coolant temp showing 30 degrees coolant temp here in Fahrenheit. If your ambient temperature is something like 80 degrees, you have a bad sensor, you have bad wiring, something's wrong. So you got to fix that first and then move on here. So we should